Welcome to Fiery Embers, a show on the Everyday Athlete Podcast Network. This live show is not one that is going to bring you the latest tip on how to increase your VO2 max, but it will make you laugh, which will have some cardio benefits. So make sure you stick around and get to learn more about our guests outside of the world of running, swimming, and cycling. Today, I'm going to be joined by Garrett Robbins, whose name may seem familiar to you, as he's written a couple of articles for us, and they have an angle of humor that I appreciate and very much enjoy. I'm looking forward to having Garrett on the show so we can laugh a lot more about some of these ridiculous questions that I've put together. And yeah, I did some investigative research on Garrett before I brought him onto the show. So before I do bring him on, check out the Everyday Athlete Podcast Network on your favorite podcast platform. We have a variety of shows, which means we have something for everyone, from music and food to human interest stories of everyday athletes overcoming obstacles to reach their finish lines. Be sure to subscribe, rate, and review our network so that we can continue to bring great guests like Garrett on. So without any further ado, any more rambling, any more mumbling, any more stumbling, let's bring Garrett onto the show. Hey, Garrett, how are you?
Great. Hello, Jason.
It's a funny thing because most podcasts, I'm presuming, have a conversation with their guest before they go live or before they record. And so it's like, how are you doing? And we already know how we're doing with each other because we just chatted for 15 minutes.
We got the formalities and niceties out of the way.
Exactly. We just want to get comfortable with each other and then jump into it and start the conversation.
Great.
So
let's roll.
I couldn't remember. Help remind me how you found Run Try Bike and myself in the first place.
Wow. It was a social media feed. You popped up. I think it might have been LinkedIn, in fact. I have spent a good part of my professional life connected to the outdoor, active lifestyle, and sports space. And I want to say that you popped up in my feed just randomly one time. And I'm like, oh, I don't know this guy, Jason, which is unusual. It's a pretty small, cozy space. And it's a fraternity of sorts where we all tend to know each other, or we at least know names or faces, possibly both. And I was just intrigued and prompted a call, and you were nice enough to get on the phone with me, and we chatted, and there was an immediate connection because of our shared love.
Yeah, and it's not just a shared love of sport. I think the angle and the way we approach sport with a sense of humor, where this stuff can be very serious at times, it's very hard at times, but we approach it with humor, and that was one of the things that I was drawn to you from that very first call. And then the first article you wrote, I was just cracking up the whole time. And so I was like, this is fantastic, right? This is exactly the type of ethos we want at RTB, which is, look, chase that PR, chase that finish line, go accomplish your goals, but make sure you're having fun all along the way too, because otherwise you've just created a part-time job that doesn't pay you.
Exactly. I mean, it's so true. And it's really hard when you're in the eye of the hurricane, right? And you're so obsessed 24/7 and all consumed by that next big race that you're tackling, and you take it so seriously. And God, if you can just remind yourself to take a few steps back and be like, you know what, at the end of the day, this is meant to be fun. And then there are always those subtle reminders on the training runs, right? It's the bathroom stories that we can all relate to, the GI emergencies, or you know, a deer running across. And like, true story, I was running with a friend, and a deer crossed this road, ran into him, and threw him into a ditch. So at any rate, my point is, there's so many funny stories out there if you just don't take yourself too seriously and keep your eyes open for them, because it's all meant to be fun, right?
That's right. So my buddy Adam, who's my co-host on Food Fight Friday at the Aid Station, which is presented by Seven Summit Snacks, will be super proud of this idea that you have a whiteboard behind you. And I actually did some research before coming onto the show. And when I say I did some research, I quickly Googled your name, or actually I think I went straight to LinkedIn, found your name, and clicked on a couple of articles to pull some stuff up. So the very first one that I saw, and it just had me in tears, it has me wondering, whatever happened to those high performance denim running pants that you once talked about?
So we all know what streakers are, not the college quad kind of streaker, but running streakers, right? They try to run, usually it's a minimum of at least 1 mile for as many days, months, years straight as possible. And I'd never tried it before. And I was curious. And I started it out on January 1st, one year. And I want to say it was mid-March. And it was just one of those days that gets away from you. And lo and behold, it was 9 o'clock at night. I'm driving home from a business dinner. My schedule just got hijacked left and right all day long. And I'm in like jeans and a nice button up shirt. And I'm like, I got to get in this mile. Like, this is not how my streak is going to die. Right. I wanted to die a more glorious death than just business dinner took up my time. Right. So there was a little trail just off the road. And, I did happen to have my running shoes in the back seat, and I did the old shirt switcheroo, but I left on the jeans because I'm like, all I got to do is a mile. And so, yeah, jumped out and hammered out actually 2 miles, elevated trail, beautiful overlook, the lit skyline down below. And hence high performance denim was born. And I think that there maybe is a business idea in there somewhere.
There absolutely is. There have been plenty of trail runners that are running in jorts, so why not?
Well, and I saw a guy last Saturday at Grandma's Marathon. I was running around this guy that had shorts that were way too high cut. Now that I think about it, these shorts, but when you glanced at them, they looked like denim Daisy Dukes. But then when you got closer, you realized that they were actually performance shorts, wicking shorts.
Yeah.
So there might be a brand out there that kind of beat us to this great business idea.
I tell you, some of the funniest stuff is the things that we don't typically see in our sports. And I remember I raced at Old Orchard Beach 70.3 before it became an Ironman event. It was run by Rev 3. And I'm climbing this hill on my bike and I'm struggling. I had broken a spoke on my tire and just everything just sucked, right? And this dude goes past me in a pair of jorts and flip-flops on his bike. And I'm like, you've got to be shitting me, right? Like, are you kidding? And, you know, I've got the aero helmet, I've got the deep dish wheels, I got the tri-bike, I got it all, right?
Yes.
This guy goes by me. Come to find out, he's like a local legend in that part of Maine. And he actually had clips built into it, like tied into his flip-flops. So he was actually tied into the bike, like most clip-on bike pedals are. But I just could not believe it. And it made me realize all these years later, because I still tell the story, like, this guy was having fun, right? He didn't go out and spend tens of thousands of dollars on anything. He's like, I ride my bike and I have fun with it. And I participate in a race every now and again. And I just thought it was hilarious.
I love that. And on that note, I have a certain amount of reverence for when you look around a starting line of a race and you see some guys like wearing, they're like old short sleeve dress shirts that you just pick up. You can go to a thrift store, right? You're that guy.
I'm one of those guys.
I love that. I love that. And I've tried that a couple times, and I'm here to say that those shirts do just great out there for long distances, right?
Yeah. I have a super bright orange New York Mets button down shirt that I run in, and I just absolutely love it. There are companies that make them like that as well. I have a couple of them from Folklore as well as Running Rabbit. And I think the reason why I love them so much, Garrett, is they have holes in the back that allow you to breathe. Whereas your regular, you know, dry fit wicking shirt doesn't have the holes in the back to breathe. And I mean, I'm sweating the moment I open the car door to go run, let alone starting to run. So I find that it's awesome. Plus, it gets looks from people too. They're like, what the hell is this guy doing?
Right. Or I'll add to that. I love features and benefits. I'm a marketer by day, right? Features and benefits are part of the world I live in. So the buttons and the gaps between the buttons, so you get airflow in there, and then it's easy enough. I think snaps perform better than buttons.
Yes.
So yeah, lots of pluses there.
It's awesome.
It's cool. Funny that you're that guy.
Yeah, it's cool to see the the landscape change a little bit when it comes to this stuff too.
Mhm.
Here's another question for you. So I don't know if you're a music person when you're out there running, or maybe you're sitting by the fire having a cup of coffee or something, but if you're going up and over a 13,000-foot pass, what music is going to be better for you to listen to? Is it going to be a heavy metal banger or some soft ballad that allows you to just kind of melt away into the nature that's surrounding you?
Try to keep that heart rate down as much as possible. So I'm more kind of the mellow tunes. It could be some bluegrass, old
Oh,
Grateful Dead,
oh yeah.
without a doubt, would really would help me out. Love the song. Ripple is just one of my life anthems. I love that song from the Dead. Or lately, maybe Nathaniel Rateliff has really brought me through some tougher spots on some runs too,
All right.
including the song "I Need Never Get Old."
That's a good, we'll have to, so we have a Everyday Athlete podcast network playlist on Spotify. So I'll be adding those two songs, Ripple and I Need Never Get Old, to that playlist.
Nice.
Where I think, well, I know we have enough music on there for anybody who's racing a 100 miler whose cutoff is 36 hours or less.
Mm.
You could put on this playlist and you'll never have to press a button. Just let it roll for 36 straight hours. We've got so many community members adding to it. It's amazing.
That's a great idea. Well, I have to ask you the same thing.
Uh,
What's the song or the genre that gets you over that mountain pass?
it's funny, nothing. Like the sounds of the birds and the twigs and the leaves snapping under my feet is the
Mm,
thing that gets me. I have recently gotten more into listening to music because we have a show called What's in Your Earbuds that I co-host with Joe Harden. And
okay.
so as we talk about music and stuff like that, then I'll start, I've started to run with more music more often, but typically it's nothing. Like I saw somebody post on social media earlier this week that said, who are these lunatics that are out here running 100 milers without music? And I'm like, I'm that guy, right? Like, give me my button down shirt, no music in 24 hours, and I'm good to go. Like, get me away from the world for a day. But
Nature soundtrack is oftentimes the best.
yes, but in the
Mhm.
car, it's typically hip hop that I'm listening to. Hip hop, rap, stuff like that is typically what I'll be listening to if I'm sitting in the car driving, kind of thing.
Nice. You just flashed me back again to Saturday in Grandma's Marathon, and the course runs on the North Shore, 26.2 miles into Duluth. But there's some blackout spots there, and they allow headphones. Purists might not like that, but I'm like, hey, that's a nice luxury to have during a road marathon. I'm going to give it a shot. But there are some dark spots where you don't get any music. Um, those were some of the more enjoyable parts of that course, because there was the flopping of people's feet, and then you run it right on the shores of Lake Superior, which may as well be an ocean with how vast that thing is. And
Yes.
literally you could hear the waves crashing against the rocks. You'd swear you were on the Monterey Peninsula. So nature soundtrack is just fine too.
You
Even better.
mentioned the you mentioned the sound of people's feet. So I have a story. Years ago, I was racing a half marathon. It was raining, and I was running with a friend next to me. We were chit chatting the whole time, and we're just having a blast. And I kept hearing these footsteps behind us, clop, 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 clop.
Mhm.
And I was like, Juan, we got to pick up the pace. I can't take this guy's feet splashing on the water. Like, it was just that annoyingness. And so he's like, all right, let's do it. So we pick up the pace. And wouldn't you know it, Garrett, from clop, 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 it became cloppity, 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 clop. Like, he just was like, I'm not letting you guys get away from us. And after like 2 or 3 minutes, I'm like, this is fruitless, dude. Now I just got to hear it twice as fast. Forget it. We'll just see how long we can outlast him from our endurance, because speed isn't going to be the key. Have you ever had any of those experiences when you're on the course and you're like, oh man, I either got to get away from this runner, or got to get away from this position that I'm in, like, because I'm getting either hopscotch
Yeah.
with another athlete, like especially at an Ironman type of thing or anything like that?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Um, yeah, two scenarios come to mind on polar opposite ends of the spectrum. One would be if I'm really feeling good and vibing out with the trail and the moment, right? And we all hit high and low spots out there. But if you're around a pretty vocal person who's in one of those low spots, I think we've all been there. It's like, all right, I need to distance myself from
Yes.
this vibe. And then on the flip side, too, when I hit the inevitable low point and I'm feeling kind of grumpy, it's probably best that I just be completely by myself and
Yep.
not next to a chatty Cathy at that point, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, in those cases, but more often than not, God, I love being around people on whether it's on the trail or the pavement, the running path, wherever it may be, because that's I mean, it's so fun to hear people's stories and what's got them to that point
Yep.
and what that particular run or race, those miles mean to them.
Yep.
I love those stories, and that's really what draws me to the sport.
Are you more of a head nod or a waver when you're on the running path and people are going in the other direction?
Ooh, the kind of motorcyclists like two-fingered wave, like I kind of give that. Yeah, if it's the first person I've seen in a long, long, long time, then I'll actually say, "Hey, man, what's going on? Good job. We're out here."
Yep.
If it's before 6 a.m., I might even physically high five them because that's a win. If you get on the trail that early and you see somebody else, we should celebrate that.
So you become the cobweb cleaner, right? Like running on the trail that early in the morning, there's cobwebs all over the place. You end up getting them all over your face super early in
Oh,
the morning.
isn't that great?
It
It's
can
it's a
be if it doesn't scare the shit out of you first.
it's a badge of honor, without a doubt. I love that.
you, you must have so many stories from your years in these sports with um, animals. And so I'm going to put this in front of you because I asked this question a few months ago. As a
Mm,
triathlete, I think you can appreciate this. What would you rather see? You're swimming in the ocean and a great white swims under you.
ooh.
You're running on the trails and a grizzly runs across your path. Or you're riding your mountain bike when you see a mountain lion just staring at you. Which one of those three would give you the least pause?
Oh, wow. I mean, the least pause, those are
Yeah,
all
you're
pretty
like, yeah, that's not a big deal.
terrifying. Man, the great white, you're so vulnerable and helpless. And happy anniversary to Jaws, by the way. It just
Yes,
came out like 50 years ago already last
correct.
weekend. We have to watch that tonight for family movie night. But ooh, that's a tough one. Grizzlies are I've never had a grizzly encounter, but you hear that they can be so aggressive. And I just
Yeah.
watched what's the movie with Leonardo DiCaprio, The Revenant.
The Revenant, yeah.
Oh, that
Would
scene where the grizzly just shreds them. So
so
no thank you to that. I'd have to pick the least of those three evils being the mountain lion. Because then you can get behind your bike and use it to
to ward them
protect
off as best
yourself.
as possible?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
By the way, you bring up The Revenant and Leonardo DiCaprio, and that immediately ignites anger in me because Tom Hardy should have won the Oscar for Best Actor that year, not Leonardo DiCaprio. I don't care what anybody says. I will arm wrestle them all day, every day. Like Tom Hardy in that movie was absolutely the king actor in that movie. And I know he was a best supporting role
Yeah.
to Leo, but Leonardo DiCaprio barely spoke. Meanwhile, Tom Hardy was leading that whole movie, in my opinion.
Yeah. DiCaprio moaned a lot.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah. Right. Yeah. Uh, I'm blanking. Which character was Hardy?
He was the guy who was basically fighting. I shouldn't say basically. He was fighting Leo at the end when they're on the edge of the water.
Oh, oh,
He
what a creepy character. He played
yes,
that so well. I was
so
gonna say,
well.
I think the bear should have been recognized too,
Yes,
easily. Like, but that would have been a more memorable kind of Oscars speech or appearance for
yes.
the bear to be up on stage.
With AI today, you could easily do it.
Yes.
So okay, we're gonna go into movie land now because I have like this anger, I guess. Like it's unwarranted completely. Like I believe Tom Hardy should have won the Oscar that year, hands down. Again, I don't care what anybody says. I also believe that Shawshank Redemption should have won the Best Movie Picture award the year that Forrest Gump won it. And I get it, I'm a runner and I'm supposed to be Forrest Gump all the time. But you are not beating Andy Dufresne in Red with running. You're just not.
As you're walking through that, and wow, you're such a savant of movie history, because I couldn't tell you like any of the last 10 Oscar winners. I just always assumed that Shawshank won the Oscar for Best Picture, because whenever that comes up in my social feed, to get those little movie clips,
Yeah.
I'm stopping and I'm watching, and I'm going to waste some time watching it, because nearly every scene was so perfectly done and
so good,
memorable and gripping, and the nuances, like where, like, God, the way he hides he puts the papers into the file at the end of
Yep.
the night when he's doing the work for the director of the prison, right?
Yep. For the
All
warden. Yeah.
little nuances there. Oh, so good. So good.
The movie was so good. And so I get angry about it to this day. And it's probably been 20 years,
Yeah.
To this day.
You've been holding this anger inside of yourself for that.
Oh, no, I don't hold it in. I tell everybody who will listen. This is the one thing I am not holding in. It's Tom Hardy should have won the Oscar and Shawshank should have won the Oscar when it comes to movies. I'm not holding that in for sure.
I'm glad this show can be really good therapy for you in that regard. You can just let loose with all of these life frustrations.
Do you have a movie that, like, no matter where it comes on or what kind of mood you're in, you're like, I absolutely love this movie and I'm going to watch it all the way through?
Right. Those movies where if you're in a hotel room at like 11 o'clock at night and just trying to numb out and scrolling through, and that movie's on, you're like, great, I'm going to be up for another 2 hours now, right? That movie.
Yeah. What movie is that for you?
Oh, well, Jaws, I think, is one of them, right? How can you not watch that to the end? Because there's always like a next great scene in that movie. I love, here's a weird one. Back to the Future.
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah.
If that one is on, I'm going to end up watching the whole thing.
Are you a Cubs fan? Is that why you get into it?
Oh, yeah, that's right. That's right. They do talk about the Cubs winning the World Series in that one. I am a Cubs fan.
No shit.
I'm a Chicago guy. I grew up in Chi-Town, outside is Chi-Town. And yeah, the Cubs, Cubby blue. I bleed it.
Favorite Cub of all time is?
Ooh, great story there. Bill Buckner.
I'm a Mets fan, so I love Bill Buckner too.
Can I share with you? I'm on a little bit of a life crusade to vindicate Bill Buckner's name. And can I share that story with you?
You should. And by the way, if you're not on Twitter, let me know, because not Gady, who is about, or not Gaetti, Gary Gaetti, right? He writes a post about NEPTA, which is not enough people talk about. And Bill Buckner is one of the players that he is always posting about.
Wow. No kidding.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm going to have to check that out, because my career goal right up until like age 16, 17 was to be a professional baseball player. And I watched the Cubs every day, all summer long, WGN TV in Chicago, partly because I was home alone and it was on at 1:15, and that was the only baseball that I could watch in the middle of the day.
Yep.
Wiffle ball in the backyard, imitating his stance, that left-handed stance.
Yep.
So I loved Bill Buckner. Just was really drawn to him as a player, kind of a gritty guy. Bill Buckner has been vilified, of course, especially by Boston Red Sox fans. And his name, I think, in my humble opinion, has been sullied unfairly out 100%, there. 100%. So I love to share this story. And the story goes like this. Bill Buckner moved over to the Boston Red Sox, as everybody knows, from the Cubs. And they were playing the White Sox in Chicagoland. And I was like, my Little League coach brought me to that game. it turned out to be a doubleheader. And this was one of the thrills of my young life at that point, to see Bill Buckner in person. And so I'm up in the stands, and it's the end of the second game, and the Red Sox are winning, and the stadium had already emptied out. Second game of doubleheader. All those Chicagoans had their fill of beer and deep dish pizza at that point. They were hightailing it home, and I'm like, I'm going to see if I can like kind of creep down to the edge of the dugout. So I did. I made it all the way down there. As I think I was 12 or 13 years old at the time. Had my ball glove, and wouldn't you know, and I'm right on the lip of the dugout, the Boston Red Sox dugout. Final out is recorded by Bill Buckner as first baseman. I think it was a basic ground out. So he had the ball, and he comes over to the Red Sox dugout, and I'm hearing this ocean of other little kids and people, and we're all screaming for that ball.
Yeah.
Bill, throw the ball. And he points at me, and he throws the ball, and the ball's up in the air, like slow motion life moment, right?
Yeah.
Oh my God, my favorite player. And as little kids, you worship these guys. They're
No
otherworldly. They're up on Mount Olympus with Zeus. And I catch that ball. And at that exact moment, this like drunken baseball fan next to me, grown man, grabs it out of my hand, rips it, and turns around and starts walking toward the exits. And like the voice of God, you hear this, hey! Everyone stops and looks, and it's Bill Buckner at the top of the dugout stairs. He's like, give the ball back to the kid. And the guy shrugs sheepishly, and he hands it back to me. And I still have that baseball.
You do?
I still have that baseball.
That's awesome.
Bill Buckner. And so many years later, when everybody was vilifying him, and I heard he had death threats, and he like kind of had to get away from it all, and he wound up, I think, in Idaho. I mean, I share that story as much as I possibly can, because I'm like, that's a good guy.
That is a great story.
Yeah.
It's a great story. So I'm 51 years old. Baseball has been the sport that I have watched and rooted for my entire life since I can remember. And of all the years and all the games I've ever attended, never once did I come anywhere near a baseball. Although that's actually not true. Mark McGwire hit a ball I was at Shea Stadium. Mark McGwire hit a ball up and over the backstop, and we were in the upper deck, and that ball was screaming at like 100 miles an hour. And I put my hand up, and it hit my hand, and it bounced around, and somebody else got it. But I had the stitching in my hand for like 2 days. But anyway, we lived in Seattle a couple of years ago, and we're at a day game hanging out. And, now they have the nets up in front of the field all the way up to the outfield, basically. And so like getting a baseball nowadays is damn near impossible. Well, JP Crawford throws the ball up over the net right at my wife and I. And she's like, oh my God, the ball is coming at us. Right. So I reach my hand out and I get the ball. And to your point, like Bill Buckner was your favorite player to begin with. JP Crawford was just a player on the Mariners who has now become one of my favorite players because of that ball toss. And I say all of this, and I appreciate your story, because when I equate it back to our hobbies of swimming, cycling, and running, right? There are going to be very few stories that we remember about these sports, whether we got to a PR or didn't get to a PR or anything like that. But that moment for you as a 12 or 13-year-old kid will stick with you forever. That ball, as I was 50 years old, and that ball getting tossed over the net and me having, and I still have it to this day as well, will stick with me forever. I won't remember the mile repeat I failed at or I succeeded at. Like, I won't remember that. But the baseball, I will remember. The baseball from Bill Buckner, you will remember. And I think that's a big part of this platform for everyday athletes is, again, go out and have fun. Go do the other thing. Like the mile repeat will be there. The finish line will be there. But enjoy yourself in addition to doing these sports. So I really appreciate that story.
Well said. That's so true. And as much as we fixate on, like, I wanted to get a certain time at Grandma's Marathon Saturday, and I missed it, galactically missed it, horribly missed it. But it's, and I sound bummed about it just now, but in all honesty, I'm not, because it was such a wonderful time, being surrounded by kindred spirits and talking to so many people and understanding what their motivations were and seeing what deep meaning that race held for them. And that's what you will remember over the long term. It's not gonna, I won't be able to tell you what my final time was probably in a couple years. Right. But I am going to remember the people that I like chatted with in the starting corral and along the course. And that's the magic of the sport right there.
100%. Well, Garrett, thank you so much for being a willing participant on this show and for sharing such great stories. I'm excited for your next article, which will hit our website here very soon. And I'm no doubt going to be laughing when I get the first draft and when we get to publish it and enjoy it.
Thanks so much for having me. What a blast chatting with you, Jason. I'd love to do it again sometime.
Yeah, we'll absolutely have to do it. Thanks, Garrett.
All right. Thank you.
For those of you who have stuck around for our conversation with Garrett on this Fiery Embers episode, thank you so much for giving us of your time. Time is the greatest gift that you can give to anybody, and you just did that, and I cannot thank you enough. While you're listening to this, make sure you subscribe, rate, and review to the Everyday Athlete Podcast Network on your favorite podcast platform, because that is how we get great guests like Garrett who can share great stories about getting a baseball during a doubleheader between the White Sox and Red Sox when he was 12 years old from his favorite baseball player, Bill Buckner. Until next time on Fiery Embers, make sure you're having fun out there and chase those dreams and goals. We'll see you soon.